Hello and welcome to the podcast of our church here at St. John's German Lutheran Parish in Springvale. Today, our English edition.
That's right. And whilst we are still in the long shadows of this pandemic, we still continue this weekly podcast, alternating between English and German. We are the German Lutheran Church in Springvale, southeast Melbourne, where we also speak English and wish you a great day, a blessed week. Great to have you today tuning in.
And as usual, we have a topic for the day, some information about what's going on in our church and what's new out there in Melbourne.
And an inspirational word from the Bible to encourage, to strengthen, to motivate, comfort, and lift you up, not just today, but also in the coming weeks. I am Peter, the pastor of our congregation, and here with me is Tim, our office facilitator.
And today we have some special guests, Nikola and Paul. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, guys.
So please, I think the first most important part is tell us a little bit about yourselves.
I'm Nicola, and this is,
Paul.
and we have a 4-month-old boy called Joseph. I grew up at St. John's. My parents are Karen and Eric Christoph. So I grew up running around the church and, spending all my Sundays and holidays hanging out there. Since then, when we got married, Paul and we moved out to Kangaroo Ground to do some training in linguistics, in languages, because it is our desire to see people of different languages and tongues have the word of God and be able to read and learn about Jesus. So we've just spent the last few years out there training and learning how to communicate in different languages. And so, that's a bit about us.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Oh, great, thank you.
And I'm Paul. I'm not really from Melbourne. I was born overseas. I was born in the Philippines. And when I was about 9 years old, my family moved to a tiny island in the Pacific called Palau, because my mom and dad, they wanted to be missionaries there. They wanted to let people know about Jesus in Palau. And so we lived there for about 5 years until we moved to Australia. We first moved to Darwin. So I arrived in Darwin when I was 14, and I did all my high school there, my university there. So I did engineering, and then I worked for a bit, and then I think I had an encounter with God that says basically he wanted me to go to prepare for ministry, and so that's when I moved down to Melbourne to go to a theological college to study. And now I'm that's where I met Nicola at Bible College and
Bridal College.
So I was like, we became friends, and then in less than 2 years got married, and and now we have Joey.
And we have Joseph. Yes, congratulations.
Yes, from me too.
Thanks.
Yes, and you did a lot of things already. May I, Paul? I don't know if I'm allowed to ask, but can I ask how old are you? How young are you?
I love this game where I ask people, how old do you think I am?
Yes.
But just because, I've got, most people think I'm in my late 20s and stuff like that. But I'm 33. Yeah.
33.
About that.
That's good to know.
Still young.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Tim. Still very young. But you already did so many things. So you studied in engineering, changed to theology, married, young little boy, and now you have big changes coming, other changes coming to your life too. And because you planned to move from Melbourne to Darwin. We wanted to ask you, because we know traveling is more or less out of question during this period of the corona pandemic. Almost no planes are flying, and travel is very restricted. Can you move? What do we have to do to travel to a different state?
Yeah, so we did move. we moved from our house in Kangaroo Ground to Mum and Dad's house in Glen Waverley.
Yes.
And that's as far as we've gotten, and that's as far as we're allowed to go right now.
Yeah.
So we have a suitcase each that we're just living out of until we wait for the borders to open again. There's a small chance that we can get an exemption based on Paul's work, because he's needed to work in Darwin and be there in person sometimes. So we've applied for that exemption, and that we applied for that a month ago.
Yeah.
And we are still waiting. Yes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just hard because, like, I mean, obviously we have to cross to get to Darwin. You have to cross South Australia and then enter into Northern Territory. So the South Australian border is actually not too bad, because it's like we'll be classified as essential travelers because we're passing through the state, and so so we have no issues going into South Australia, making our way there and then up to Darwin. The biggest issue is in Darwin, because once you cross the Northern Territory border, what they'll do is that they'll get you to into forced quarantine, meaning that they'll direct you to a hotel, and then you'll have to stay there for the 14 days, and you'll also have to pay $2,500 per person. So we're trying to get so it's very difficult to get up there, and it's just hard because it's like, it's essentially for both of us it's going to be like $5,000 just to get up there, and you're staying in a hotel, you're locked in a hotel. It's not going to be fun, especially like with a 4-month-old.
No.
Yeah.
And are there restrictions in place because of the indigenous community, or why?
I think that's because my brother, two of my brothers actually live in Alice Springs in Northern Territory, and one of my brothers, he's a doctor, so he's very aware of, like, the health stuff happening. And one of the biggest things that they're trying to avoid is that if COVID comes into like any of their Aboriginal communities, that's it. Like, it will wipe out communities, because like at the moment their lifespan is very small at the moment. It's just very short. And so and like their health isn't like the best at the moment.
Yes.
Talking about going from Melbourne to the Northern Territory, it's not like, you're driving 100 kilometers and you're there. How many kilometers actually you're driving, and would you do some stops as well when you're driving up there?
Yeah, so part of like when I've had to apply for the exemption in Darwin, for my application there, I've had to like actually plan the whole thing, like the pit stops, all the like all the fuel stations, provide like location of our accommodations from, like, both in South Australia and Northern Territory. And so, they just you just got to provide all these things to help our case. And so, with this, it'll be like around let me think, probably close to 5,000 kilometers all up to get up there. So yeah,
just a short afternoon drive.
Yes. And that leads me to our next question. All of these travel plans, but also the past 6 weeks, together with Joseph. How was your family life during this time of lockdown with your 3-4-month-old little boy?
It's been a mix.
yes.
I think if you were to ask any first-time mum, how are you going with a 4-month-old, they would say there are good days and there are bad days, but the saving grace in it all is being able to meet with other mums in the same situation, and just to journey along with more people and a community, and to have other friends and family come and help out and clean the house, cook dinner for us. So that's a normal situation, but we're in the pandemic at the moment, and so all of our community has been shut off. And so it's been quite difficult adjusting into this new role of being a mum to Joseph, but not having any extra help, and not being able to just ask other mums questions, or just say, hey, is your baby only sleeping 40 minutes a day? And just hearing the reassurance that, yep, they are, you're not the only one, and just kind of being reminded that, yeah, you're not the only person kind of struggling at the moment, because it's pretty isolating being a first-time mum, and everything that happens with Joseph is so new to all of us and so new to me, and I've got all these hormones roaring through my body, and I'm trying to keep him alive, but then I don't know if I'm doing good enough. I don't know if I'm doing enough for him. So yeah, it's been a bit difficult, but the beauty of being able to spend a lot more time at home is that we actually get to spend more time intentionally learning about the person that Joseph is and is growing up to be. Instead of being distracted by going out to coffee dates and chatting with other people, there's this real sense of stillness and really deeply learning and connecting with our son, which is a really precious moment to just be able to stop and just lie next to him and watch him roll and crawl and not be distracted by what's happening outside and what the next event that we have to go to. So there's good and bad having a 4-month-old in a pandemic. But yeah.
And I think for me, it's like, I mean, I have friends that are like, have had children like around like a couple of years ago. And during that time, like, especially from a dad's perspective, a lot of them, like, they would have their, their parental leave for like about 2 weeks. Then after that, they're like, they're back to work again, full-time work. And I think I've had the opportunity that in this time, like working from home, my 2 weeks is like, I don't have 2 weeks. I have like, until
every single day.
And I think it's been really great. I think it's been great to get to know Joey a lot more as well. And like, even like now, because I started working my new job now in Darwin, I'm able to work remotely now. Like the fact that even sometimes, like, when Nicola's just struggling and just so tired, and I can just come in and just hold Joey for like a couple of minutes and then just help him calm down and just actually pitch in as well. So I feel like me being here at home, it's still like, it really helps promote our teamwork as parents as well. And so that's what I've really like appreciated about the pandemic, and about like how I can work from home, and the flexibility that's involved with it as well.
Yes.
I
mean, for us with children, at least that was a little bit of a comfort, knowing that COVID isn't in general, at least, dangerous to younger ones. But still, isn't it? There's still this worry. I mean, I wouldn't wish to my kids to get sick with the virus, because you never know. That's at least my feeling. You never know how this disease develops.
I think at the beginning of all of this, it was quite scary, because at that point Joseph hadn't had any of his immunizations, so he was still a newborn, fresh. He smelled fresh. And so it was quite scary that he wasn't protected from anything, and then there's this new virus that no one's protected from, but he's extra vulnerable. And as we've learned more information, and how the children, while they're not immune to it, their responses are quite encouraging. So if Joseph does catch it, or if one of us do catch it, it is encouraging that it's not necessarily going to be deadly for him, but there still is a worry to it, and that worry is also part of with the spread, because we would hate for Joseph to be a carrier and us unknowingly spread it to anyone. Similar with us. But it's been a real test of faith and trust in God in this season. Trusting that He will protect us in our little family as we try to kind of work out what we're doing.
I mean, I think, I guess like now we're just thankful that like the more and more information is starting to come about this virus, and like how we can better protect Joey, how we can better protect us as well. So I think it's just helpful as well. And I guess that's the beauty of being in information, like technology age, so that we have this information readily available to us.
I have a confession on behalf of Joseph, though. While we've all been told to not touch our face and to constantly wash our hands, he has entered the phase of sucking his hands.
Yes.
And so I want to apologize to everyone. He's actively avoiding that action to avoid his face and touching his hands.
Oh,
So, yes.
you will also lick everything in your household and taste.
Yes,
taste
pretty much.
Yes.
Yes, and he's not very good at social distancing, but we're trying.
One last question from me. You mentioned that it's pretty isolating, and we have experienced this in all different kind of ways. On the other hand, did you feel with the modern technology that you have a good possibility to connect with others, or not? I just want to say for my children, they are 8 years old now, and they sometimes chat with their friends. So we have a Zoom call or something, but that goes just for a very short period of time, per half an hour maximum, with running around and showing their toys, all of it. And for them it's, I think, quite difficult to keep contact with other children. How was your experience with other parents? Did you seek contact in this way, or do you still also feel that it's difficult to keep contact?
Or better, before you answer the question, is there any possibility for mother groups? Are they doing some Zoom meetings, for example, or is there anything offered from the council, for example?
Yeah, good question. I was fortunate to have already been part of a mother's group before we were told we couldn't meet. And so we already had a basis for a relationship, and we already had some common ground. So we'd met each other a few times before, and we had kind of seen our babies grow a little bit together. And so when the councils closed all of their maternal child health centres and told us that our official mothers group were closed, a few of us did agree to meet at the same time, but on Zoom. So we've been meeting still once a week. And at another church at our church that we go to, we had a play group, and we're still meeting again once a week, again on Zoom. So we still have ways to connect, which has been really wonderful. And so when you do have a burning question, or when you want to just crave that talk or reassurance from another mum that what you're doing is okay, and that what baby's doing is okay and totally normal, we can get it. But there's still that lack of, I think, just sitting and being in the company of people. And that's what's been really difficult, because we go on Zoom, we go on Google Meetup for a purpose, and that purpose is to talk. But I think there's another element of when you do catch up with people, and it is just being present with each other, and it is just sitting in silence with one another, just admiring things, or just hanging out, and that you can't really stare at a screen and not talk for a while, because otherwise people will think your connection's a bit shoddy. I usually jump on for at least 10 minutes in the groups, just to say hi, just to listen to a few people and just kind of ask some questions. But apart from that, like your boys, it's really hard just to be on for more than 20 minutes.
But good to hear from your group that your play group met regularly. That's a thought for our here at St. John's, our play groups. We took a break and kept in contact just via chat, so just chatting, but catch up that we should try that too, a Zoom meeting.
So we do on Mondays with our play group. One of the mums, or one of the leaders, she has a playlist of music, and then we all the music that we know, and with actions. And so we just do some actions together. And we know of some other groups that send out the same activity to all the parents, and then the kids just sit and do crafts together, but via the computer. So there's lots of good things happening in, I guess, the parent community of young children, and lots of Facebook groups, and lots of organizations are sending out free booklets of like things to do with your kids. I know that Playgroup Victoria just sent out their autumn booklet. So it has 30 days of activities. So there's, lots of good stuff. And I know a friend, she's got an 18-month-old, and she was down at her local park just the other day and met a new mum there. And because they're in the local area, they've decided that on Wednesdays at a certain time, they're just going to meet up and, you know, still be socially distant and play from afar, but just to have some contact with someone and another person going through the same stuff as you. So you have to be very intentional, I'm finding, to interact with other people. And if I don't have the energy, I could simply just stay in my own little house.
Yeah,
correct. Yes.
Which would lead me to an encouraging word, but I don't do that today. Paul will. Yes.
Yeah, sure. So like the Bible verse that like we've chosen for today is found in Lamentations chapter 3 verse 23, where basically it says, talking about the Lord, like, you know, the Lord's mercies are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. And I think for us in this time of self-isolation, and particularly for us as like new parents, new experiences, like we're just learning so much about Joseph. We're learning about how we respond to Joseph and how we interact with each other. There's bound to be conflict all the time, and not just like, you know, between us, and like, you know, there's also like there's going to be conflict with like, you know, with the grandparents, because we do live with them together as well, and they have their own way of doing things here at home. And so I think like this is like when this verse reminds us that you know, God is merciful to us. And so like, because he has been merciful to us through Jesus Christ, that we can show mercy and grace towards each other. And that's actually, you know, we can show grace towards between us, as husband and wife, and even as parents to Joey, and to us, and with the Christophs. And I think it's just a verse that just reminds us as well that like the forgiveness and the mercy that we show to others is firmly rooted in Jesus Christ, because, you know, he forgave us first. And so based on that premise, that we are able to show grace and be able to forgive each other. And it says here, like, it's just new every morning. And so like this, like every morning, she's like, okay, his mercies are new every morning. Yeah. And, you know, and I guess like now in time of like we've been waiting now for like nearly a month. We know that, like that God is faithful, and that he will always keep us in his hands, whether like we're here, we're traveling on the road, you know, Joey crying, like, you know, in the car, and even arriving in Darwin and like, you know, transitioning into that new life. You know, the one thing that's like, we know that constant is that God is faithful all the way throughout. And so, so this is like hopefully this verse would be an encouragement to those listening, that, you know, God's mercies are new every morning, and that his faithfulness is very much, is very great.
I think it's also really encouraging that whether we're in isolation or not, there's still every morning comes, whether we can leave the house or not. And it's just a really good reminder that God is in the mundane, and God is at home, and he is in the little moments of each life, of our day-to-day. And so this is a really good season that I've been having to just see God in the every mornings, in the sunsets and the sunrises, in the grass. The other day on a walk, we saw mushrooms in someone's front garden, which I think if we were just living without restrictions and without the precious, just with the restrictions, I could have just walked past them and not seen the beauty that they were. And so, God's mercies are new every morning, and so are his ways that he's trying to communicate with each one of us, and ways that so are each day that we can worship him. So Lamentations 3 verse 23. Who'd have thought?
Thank
Yeah.
you. Nicola, Paul, thank you very much. Thank you for this encouraging word. And we wish you God's blessing for your journey ahead. And we keep you in our prayers. And for our listeners, just a short information at the end. If you watched our services, there is a possibility to see them online in English and German, always on Sunday at 9 o'clock in English and 10 o'clock in German. It is easy to find under St. John Springvale on our YouTube channel. If you know someone without the internet connection or mom and dad at home, feel free to contact us. We are happy to assist and send some contact out. Wish you to enjoy watching and don't forget to share and subscribe. This helps us to get the word out to others too. Thank you.
For having us.
Thank you for listening and sharing. Have a wonderful week with your family and friends and loved ones. And we look forward to welcoming you again next week, this time again in German. Bye bye. Take care till then.